Namaskar, this is Professor Aman Agarwal from Indian Institute of Finance. And we, again, in the IIF webinar series, we bring you another dimension of life, which is trust. And we have with us someone who has been a student of trust and reading trust and working on trust for almost 3-4 years that I have heard from him, or maybe longer. But he is researching it as a doctoral work. So we have a doctoral research scholar, although he's already an honorary doctorate and is a professor from the Indian Institute of Finance. And he has much more credit to his knowledge because he's traveled the world, seen things, and is advisor to large number of prime ministers in Africa, including large number of prime ministers in India. He has been. He is currently the special advisor to the Prime Minister of Lesotho, Prime Minister of Guinea-Bissau, and government of South Sudan, and the Prime Minister there. He is also special advisor to the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Corporate Council, Leh and Kargil. He has been former ambassador of India, the Rajdoot, a diplomat, a father figure in India for Armenia, Georgia, South Sudan, Poland, and Lithuania. You know, these small countries are big trouble for large part of the world. So it is not easy. One thing that only when you get diplomatic assignments to countries like UK and US, yes, they are strategically important. But these countries, and he knows it very well. I don't think he will speak about it, but that he knows it very well. These are very strategic and difficult countries to deal with because large amount of illicit transactions, trade, flesh trade, and a lot of illegal stuff actually moves out of them, comes into developing countries like India, and then moves to developed countries as well. So they in developing countries have been used by these countries majorly, and to be an ambassador in such strategies is very critical and very difficult to manage. So in any case, we'll have some session with him on diplomacy, and he can talk on that as well. And I hope he'll open up some important areas there. But then, as you know, he's very daring and he doesn't mind opening up new defense zones like the government of India is doing lately with this sweet talk and then creating a war that no one can trouble us. So that's which is very important. We are very happy that Professor Vohra is part of this structure where we are having these webinars, and he has accepted to deliver series of webinars on trust, on Chinese coronavirus, and some of the other issues, apart from some of the other webinars. So we have held almost about 50 webinars in the last 1.5 months, of which he has been there with about 4-5 of them, and hopefully more and more coming forward. We will be taking questions at the end. Pooja ji, please lower your hand. We are not taking any questions as of now. As a disclaimer, we are observing all norms as prescribed by Ministry of Home Affairs to conduct webinar meetings. Everybody will have to kindly keep their audios and videos off. If your videos and audios are on, then the person who is managing the cyber troll would take you off the room. You're requested to kindly keep them off. We will open them at the end for question and answers once Professor Vohra is over with his address and discussion towards the end. Now I will be passing the thing to Professor Vohra to enlighten us about trust, because this is something which we have been discussing, and almost every speaker we have hosted on the essence of life and growth, Professor Vohra, has actually pointed about the word trust as a key element when it comes to life, interacting with people, and talking about growth in one's life or even outside, and even in terms of nations. And we have seen that kind of trust being given to this government one time and after the other in terms of dealing with things, the way, whether it is lockdown, whether it is re-elections, whether it is mandating large number of structures which the government has taken, very strong enforceable structures, destroying some of the old arcadial structures and creating new frameworks altogether. People of this country have given that trust factor to the Prime Minister Modi, and this government. And I think that's very important. We learn more from you because I know the peripheral only, and we're looking forward to this presentation. Thank you. I put you on spotlight. You can begin now. Thank you very much. Namaskar. And
thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Raman. Stay on, keep your video on so that, your audio on so that we can interact. Well, thank you for that very gracious introduction. First of all, I apologize for, I'm normally well-groomed, but now I'm looking like a bear. That's because the Chinese have made sure my Nai doesn't open his shop. So I normally would be looking different. It was about 15 years ago that I listened to a fellow called Francis Fukuyama. He is a chap who wrote this book after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. किताब का नाम था The End of History. वही लिखा हुआ था कि भाई अब सोवियत संघ तो खत्म हो गया, अब अमेरिकन लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी दुनिया पे छा जाएगी. And that was something that, struck me. And then I chanced upon a book of his called Trust. It's a massive book, very thick, लेकिन उसके 5 पेज हैं that are worth reading, बाकी सब बेकार का. So I got in touch with him by email and said, look, I'd like to research this concept. ये किस जानवर का नाम है trust? ये करते करते मुझे 4 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए. And the deeper I go into it, the more confused I get. So I don't think, Professor Aman, that I'll be able to finish this in my lifetime. Maybe younger colleagues like you can take it forward. So let's just very quickly run through this PowerPoint presentation. Then I'll be happy to receive your comments. Integrity, trust, and corruption. One question, in some societies, trust comes intrinsically. Yeah, you trust this guy. अब ethnic stereotypes क्यों बनती है? कोई नाइजीरिया का है तो बोलेंगे ये तो ड्रग ट्रैफिकर है, कोई मेक्सिको का है तो ये तो पीपल ट्रैफिकर है, और कोई पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट है, जर्मन बड़ा एफिशिएंट है, अमेरिकन रिलायबल, ऑल दीस थिंग्स. चीन के बारे में कहते हैं मेरा भगवान तो बिल्कुल पैसा है. नाउ वी आर ऑल बोर्न, हम जब पैदा होते हैं तो हमारा जो ये है ना फ्लैश ड्राइव, यहाँ पे फ्लॉपी डिस्क, इसमें कुछ लिखा नहीं होता, हम लोग लिखते हैं. नाउ आई वांट यू टू टेल मी दिस, जितने अमीर देश हैं, जहां जहां बहुत बड़ा इंडियन डायस्पोरा है, यूएस में है, अमेरिका में है, ब्रिटेन में है, जर्मनी, नॉर्थ यूरोप, जहां जहां है, कतार, यूएई, सऊदी अरेबिया, मलेशिया, जब हम उनसे बात करते हैं, मैं कई जगह गया हूं प्रधानमंत्रियों के साथ, बाकी लोगों के साथ, वो सब कहते हैं आपका जो कम्युनिटी है, इंडियन कम्युनिटी, हार्ड वर्किंग, वो अपना टैक्स देते हैं, वो झगड़ा नहीं करते, दे हैव द लोएस्ट पर कैपिटा क्राइम रेट. दिस वाज टोल्ड टू अस बाय द रूलर ऑफ यूएई. लोएस्ट पर कैपिटा क्राइम रेट. नाउ दैट्स सम काइंड ऑफ अ कॉम्प्लीमेंट. फिर भारत में क्या हो जाता है हमको? और ये वॉल्टर स्कॉट जो स्कॉटिश राइटर थे, उन्होंने शुरू में कहा था, वो वाटर टैंगल्ड वेब वी वीव, जब पहली बार हम धोखा देना सीखते हैं, when first we practice to. हम नहीं कहते एक झूठ बोलोगे उसके बाद उसको छुपाने के लिए 100 झूठ बोलने पड़ते हैं. सर वॉल्टर स्कॉट ने बहुत पहले ये कहा था. All right, now Professor Aman, are you able to hear me?
Yes, very well, and see your slide as well.
All right, thank you very much. I'm much better looking normally. That's what I'm telling you. Here's the slide. Let's take a look. Here you are in a country called the US survey. Then I've listed 6 countries here. Let's say there's something, you're in your apartment. At midnight, you have to take a flight at 3 in the morning. At midnight, you suddenly find that the main pipe in your kitchen is burst. You call emergency service. They say in 30 minutes, the plumber will be there. Now, I want you to tell me what is your level of trust that the plumber will actually be there in 30 minutes, considering that you cannot leave your apartment in Tokyo unless the main water leak is repaired. Now, or your apartment in any one of the capitals of the world, countries of the world that I've put here, the 6. Now, if you're in the USA, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of trust or confidence that the fellow will come in half an hour?
In terms of 1 to all of these countries, you mean?
1 to 10, only the USA.
Only the USA, I would say 3 today.
No, well, I mean, I think it'll be much higher, because when the fellow says, "मैं आधे घंटे में आऊँगा," you don't think आएगा?
Not anymore.
Go back 5 years.
Yes, 5 years back or about 10 years back, it was the case. US would be.
How much would you rate it? 8, 9?
Sorry?
5 years, 10 years ago, you would have said 8 or 9?
Oh, you mean 10 is higher? Then yes, I would say about 7 or 8 today.
And that's what I'm saying. 10 is the highest, 0 is the lowest. Your
Yes.
level of confidence, right? That's what I was surprised. 8 or 9. Good. Japan.
So about 8 or so today, 7 or 8 today, and then about 10 years back.
Okay, Japan.
Japan would be 9 even today.
Germany.
About 9.
Okay. Now cut out your patriotic feeling. Pakistan.
Pakistan is roughly about 2 or 3. It's always been like that. It was worse. It's improved a little bit.
China. No, just give me the figure. Don't make your comments. China. 2. India.
China would be about 4.
And India.
India is roughly about 8 for me.
All right. Now you see the trust that you have given, the scores for US, Japan, Germany, Pakistan, China, India. Leaving out India, you have perhaps subconsciously given very high scores to the developed world and not so high scores to the developing world. You know, my research, and I've been doing this for 4 years, when people have trust in themselves in the country, nation develops. I've asked this question to everybody I meet. मैं सड़क पे जाता हूँ, किसी को रोक के कहता हूँ, भाई साहब, विकास पहले आता है या भरोसा? Once you develop तब भरोसा आता है, या भरोसा आता है उसके बाद विकास? सब लोग जो बहुत ज्यादा शातिर रहेंगे दोनों साथ साथ चलते हैं. I mean, that's all rubbish. I've not got an answer. When you have trust in a country's institution, it is directly proportionate to growth. और जहां पे ट्रस्ट नहीं है, वो आप सोच लीजिए उस देश का भविष्य ज्यादा नहीं है. You know, ये जो lack of trust and integrity है ना, this is an underdevelopment multiplier. This is my phrase. The cost of enforcement, जब आप कानूनों का उन पे अमल करते हैं, कार्यान्वयन होता है, implementation होता है, enforcement होता है, that can be 2% of your GDP. I mean, आपकी police force, आपकी court system. Think about it. It's not just a hypothetical or philosophical question. We spend a lot of money in enforcing the law. Now, why was the law broken in the first place? So what do you expect of your government? Would you agree with me कि जब जंग है तो आप मेरी सुरक्षा करो, और जब जंग नहीं है, शांति है, then you give me a better life. You move from basics, रोटी कपड़ा और मकान, you give me comfort, then you give me luxury. हर देश में यही चीज है, चाहे वो अमेरिका है, चाहे भारत है, चाहे कोई अफ्रीका का देश. And there's always ये competition होता है. मैं जितने अफ्रीका के टीवी स्टेशंस देखता हूँ, या साउथ एशिया के, या अमेरिका में भी, the Americans are comparing themselves to the Canadians to them. यूरोप में जाता हूँ, फ्रेंच कहते हैं ब्रिटेन बकवास है, हम बड़े अच्छे हैं. भारत में हम पाकिस्तान के साथ कंपेयर करते हैं, चीन के साथ, etc etc. There's always this competitive element. I call this, जो मैंने टाइटल दिया, डेवलपमेंट ट्रस्ट कॉम्पैक्ट. देखो, इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ नहीं होगा unless you have trust in your country's institution. मेरी जिंदगी में मैंने देखे हैं देश जो बहुत जल्दी डेवलप हुए हैं because they have trusted authoritarian leaders and said कि भाई liberal democracy तो हम खा नहीं सकते, पहन नहीं सकते, उसको चला नहीं सकते. And you have seen countries where economic prosperity has come, Malaysia, South Korea, China, Singapore, a lot of prosperity, but they have traded their freedom for authoritarian leadership. Good or bad, I'm not making a value judgment. लेकिन जब वो ग्रोथ कम होना शुरू हो जाता है, फिर क्या होता है? यूएसएसआर जब टूटा था, बहुत से कारण थे. It was only 20 years ago. जब वो टूटा था, one major thing was communism बोला था कि मैं inequality को हरा दूंगा, हटा दूंगा. उसके बाद we found that there was an elite class that was emerging, the so-called nomenclatura, etc etc. It wasn't inclusive growth. You know what happens is that when the trust compact is broken, तो फिर आपकी जो रिसोर्सेज हैं वो ठीक तरह से एलोकेट नहीं होती, आपकी शैडो इकोनॉमी बनती है. भारत में कहते थे आपकी शैडो इकोनॉमी या ब्लैक इकोनॉमी was probably half the size of the national economy. It's much less now. Now this is somebody whom I have never met, but it's an American company and they publish every year an Edelman Trust Barometer. देखिएगा इसको Professor Raman, this is for 2020. The percentage of people who trust their national institutions. India is 79, Singapore 62, USA 47, UK 42 और रशिया में 30%. इसका कारण है ना, आप सोचिएगा क्या कारण है. Then people कौन है जो कहते हैं, then they ask, do you think you will be better off 5 साल में? भारत में 77%, सिंगापुर में 42, यूएस में 43, साउथ अफ्रीका 57, यूके में 27, रशिया का तो मैं दे ही नहीं रहा, वो था 18%, 18%. So where is the trust? Now, you know, again, they updated, these fellows updated their trust barometer. और उसमें बोले कि गवर्नमेंट में जो भरोसा है, that went up 11 points to an all-time high. In fact, government became the most trusted institution. और सारी, ये सिर्फ भारत का नहीं है, पूरी दुनिया का है, कि सारी दुनिया में लोग बोले कि भाई सरकार हमारी रक्षा करेगी. सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद ये पहली बार हमने देखा था. और कई बार ये जो गवर्नमेंट का डिस्ट्रस्ट था पिछले 10 साल में, डिस्ट्रस्ट ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, वो घट रहा था. याद है प्रोफेसर अमन, जब ग्रीस में वो प्रॉब्लम हो गई थी, दे वर ऑलमोस्ट ब्रोक, and then they wanted money from the European Union, then there were corruption scandals in the developing nation. Trust खत्म हो जाता है. Health and safety is paramount. आज जो ये एडलमैन ट्रस्ट बैरोमीटर ने किया है, वो बोलते हैं लोग अपनी सेहत को बचाना चाहते हैं. And today 70%, 75% of people say कि जो ये companies हैं, they should wait before getting back to full steam because it is important to save the lives, the health of people. Government is the only institution today trusted by the majority of the population. They don't trust NGOs, they don't trust businesses, they don't trust academia, they trust the government. क्यों सोचो. Now, 90% जो आपकी रिश्तेदारी है, जो आपकी relationships हैं, and this is by the way in Fukuyama's book, 90% have personal या business orientation. वो कहता है कि उसका जो आधार है, मूल आधार, वो भरोसा है. अगर आपके पास भरोसा नहीं है तो फिर सात श्री अकाल, सब खत्म हो जाएगा. Which are the high interpersonal trust continent? अभी आपने बोला था अमन, नॉर्थ अमेरिका, यूरोप, जर्मनी में, फ्रांस में, स्वीडन में, नॉर्वे में, you will trust this guy when the carpenter says मैं सवेरे 6 बजे आऊंगा, आपको पता है वो आएगा. These are high trust continents. Trust deficit, Asia, Africa, Latin America, hierarchical systems, familistic, परिवार, low civic sense. You know, आप किस पे भरोसा क्यों करते हो? Aman, why do you trust me? There are two things. First, ethics. Doing the right thing और आप समाज में सुधार ला रहे हैं. दूसरा, performance, delivering on your promises. Okay, performance is a trust multiplier. You were talking about the people trusting India, the Indian government. End April में IIF ने सर्वे किया, 93.5% approved Narendra Bhai Modi's handling of the Chinese virus attack. Like it, you dislike him, you don't want him, you want him, irrespective. And IANS is not something that the government can buy. अच्छा, आपकी कंपनी है, Professor Aman, you were on the boards of many companies. Why do they keep you there? Because they know that you have an national reputation for ethics, for performance, so they want you there, so people will trust the company. अब ये trust paradox भी अब मैं देख रहा हूँ after the in the last 2 or 3 years. देखिए, कॉर्पोरेट मैलफीजेंस होता है, कितने सारे आपके, एक वो मलाई वाला है, एक हीरा मोती है, एक वो 1-1 है जो भाग गया है, एक तो वापस आ रहा है, वो क्या वो क्रिकेट बुकी था, लॉट्स ऑफ थिंग्स आर गोइंग ऑन. फेक न्यूज हो गया. तो इसका मतलब है कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट जो है आपका या ट्रस्ट का कॉम्पैक्ट वो खराब हो जाता है, बिकॉज पीपल फील दैट ट्रस्ट इज नो लॉन्गर रिलेटेड टू ग्रोथ. पैसा बढ़ रहा है देश में, तरक्की हो रही है, लेकिन इट इज नॉट इंक्लूसिव. 1% of the people control 90% of the wealth kind of scenario जो अमेरिका में है. तो लोग अब नाराज हो रहे हैं. This is the paradox. Growth is there, but trust is not growth. Do you understand what I'm saying? So institutional inequality has become more important than institutional than trust. वो कह रहे जब then growth. Inequality है तो मैं नाराज हूँ. Growth है, ठीक है, very happy birthday, keep it at home. चीन में भी हम यही देख रहे हैं. Because there also the upper 1% control 70-80% of the national wealth. भारत में हम ये देख रहे हैं, you know the Gini coefficient, आप खुद समझ लीजिएगा. Lack of personal integrity, Professor Raman, is the highest form अपने आप को गाली देना. You know, let me tell you this, you know me. सच्चाई इस वो नहीं है कि सही चीज करना जब दूसरे देख रहे हैं. सच्चाई वो है, वही सही चीज करना जब आपको पता नहीं कोई देख रहा है कि नहीं. Telling myself the truth, that is integrity, and telling the truth to others is honesty, right? और ये trust ये है, integrity और honesty से आता है. अब मैंने एक trust hierarchy बनाई है. सबसे basic level होता है interpersonal trust. अपने आप पे भरोसा करो, परिवार पे करो, आप जैसे मित्रों पे करो. Then societal, अपनी community पे करो, अपने पड़ोसियों पे करो, धंधे में करो, मीडिया पे करो. फिर statal, देश के level पे, government में, law enforcement agencies में, etc., etc. Much more trust if the country has greater development. फिर आता है global trust, you know, in संस्थाs like United Nations. आज तो trust बिल्कुल खत्म हो गया वहाँ पर. But this is my trust hierarchy. What happens where there are lack of trust economy? वो कंपनी को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं देना चाहिए था, लेकिन मिल जाता है क्योंकि वो अनफेयर है, इलीगल है, किकबैक है, ये है. Then this leads to excessive expenditure. And you know, in many countries, in most countries, between 50 and 30% of GDP is public procurement. Cost of corruption, that is cost of lack of trust. US dollar 3 trillion में 12 zero होते हैं. According to the UN, annual cost 12 zero. भारत की इकोनॉमी 3 ट्रिलियन है, ये तो 3.6, ये 2019 के फिगर्स हैं. Annual cost of corruption, including bribes and stolen money. और 2 ट्रिलियन था for emerging economies like ours last year. और बोले कि 1.5 ट्रिलियन हमने घूस दी थी पिछले. That means जिन देशों में, fortunately India is not one of them, जो अंतरराष्ट्रीय मदद लेते हैं for their own विकास development, they lose $10 a month for every $1 they get in aid. और फिर क्या होता है, बेसिक सर्विसेज नहीं आती, वीकर इंस्टीट्यूशन. यूएन सेज जो भ्रष्टाचार है, लैक ऑफ ट्रस्ट, वो अमीर और गरीब देश दोनों में है, बट इट हर्ट्स पुअर पीपल मोर. और उसमें क्या होता है, इंस्टेबिलिटी, पॉवर्टी, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. Look at this slide. This is the research that I've done along with some friends from well-known economists. Every 1 rupee dishonestly transacted in Bharat, समाज को 8 रुपए का नुकसान होता है. Internalize this figure. So अब देखिए भारत और चीन और मिस्र और यूनान, ग्रीस और इटली, ये पुरानी सभ्यताएं, राइट, एंशिएंट सिविल, वहां ट्रस्ट नहीं दिया जाता आसानी से. नई सोसाइटीज जहां पे शुरुआत हुई थी जीरो से, पश्चिम यूरोप में, अमेरिका में, कनाडा में, ट्रस्ट इज अज्यूम्ड. द चाइनीज हैव अ लवली सेइंग कि जो चिड़िया, अर्ली बर्ड, हम कहते हैं ना, अर्ली बर्ड कैचेस द वर्म, प्रोफेसर अमन.
हाँ जी.
हाँ, तो चाइनीज कहते हैं द अर्ली बर्ड गेट्स शॉट. They don't trust easily. अगर भरोसा करेंगे तो हम मारे जाएंगे. And now, surprisingly, after the Chinese virus, so nobody trusts them also. Look, in 100 countries जहां मैंने research किया है, breach of trust is a crime. Over 100 countries, legal system, breach of trust. And society, community, nation, भाई हम लोग कुछ लोगों पे भरोसा करके उनको नेता बनाते हैं. भारत में नरेंद्र भाई मोदी को प्रधानमंत्री बनाया, डोनाल्ड ट्रंप को आप लोगों ने राष्ट्रपति बनाया, मैक्रों को आपने उधर राष्ट्रपति बनाया, आपने किसी और को प्रधानमंत्री बनाया, आपने ये बनाया, वो बनाया. We are giving them this authority, trusting that they will perform without fear or favor. और जब आप उस ट्रस्ट को तोड़ते हो अमन, तो फिर सिर्फ आपका नुकसान नहीं होता, वो सबका होता है. Do you know something, Aman, that if I invite you for dinner, let's say I said, Aman, come at 7, you don't show up. Listen carefully. You don't show up. You don't tell me. Under Indian law, the law of tort, I can sue you for breach of trust. You caused me emotional damage. आपने मेरा खाना waste किया. आपने मेरा समय, मैं जज के पास जाऊंगा, बोलेगा पागल है, घर जा. But I mean, legally, I can sue you.
Yes.
Now, there was a 3-year study, possibly the largest दुनिया में जो अभी तक हुई है, about will people behave honestly when they have an incentive not to. यानी रिटर्निंग वॉलेट्स कंटेनिंग मनी. थाउजेंड्स ऑफ पीपल, 40 देशों में ये सर्वे किया गया था 3 साल के लिए. पिछले साल रिजल्ट्स आए हैं और उन्होंने बोला कि जो हम इंसान के नेचर के बारे में कहते हैं, दिस इज रॉन्ग. यू नो व्हाट इट वाज? दैट द मोर द मनी इन द वॉलेट, द ग्रेटर द चांस दैट इट विल बी रिटर्न. आपका बटुआ गिर गया, किसी को मिल गया. एंड इंडिया, बाय द वे, रैंक्ड अमंग द टॉप 3 इन दैट सर्वे. हम तो कहते हैं हम चोर हैं, नहीं है. वी हैव अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंस ऑफ एथिक्स. वो हम देख नहीं पाते क्योंकि आपकी मीडिया में सिर्फ आप स्कैम्स और स्कैंडल्स ये पढ़ते हैं. बट देयर आर लिटिल थिंग्स इन आवर लाइव्स व्हिच आर सो इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड इंडिया रैंक्ड वेरी हाई इन दिस स्टडी, राइट? सो पीपल से दैट यूज अ कैरेट, मॉरल कैरेट. डंडा मारने से ये जो ट्रस्ट है ये नहीं बढ़ेगा. बट यू शो देम दैट अगर ट्रस्ट है समाज में, जो मेरा अभी तक स्टडी है, देन यू हैव अ मच बेटर चांस ऑफ डेवलपिंग. अगर भारत में, सोच लीजिए, संकल्प करिए, अगर ये ट्रस्ट होता है ना हमारे पास, और ये लैक ऑफ इंटेग्रिटी ना होती जो हमारी अंतड़ियों को खा रहा है, हम कहां तक पहुंच गए होते, प्रोफेसर रमन. वी नीड अ ट्रस्टवर्दी सिस्टम. हमारे लिए नहीं तो हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ियों के लिए, हमारे बच्चों के लिए. अच्छा, कॉलोनियल रूल में मैंने पढ़ा, मैं अफ्रीका में कितने देशों में रहा हूं, इतने सारे कानून है. क्यों भाई? क्योंकि वो जो आपके कॉलोनियल मास्टर से कहते हैं नेटिव्स को तो हम ट्रस्ट नहीं कर सकते, तो बदमाश है. हमारे पास, मैंने पढ़ा था कहीं पे, आई डोंट नो इफ इट्स ट्रू, 20,000 कानून थे. 20,000 मेड व्हाइल द ब्रिटिश वर हियर. और 20,000 कानून मेरे चाचा किस लिए बना रहे हो तुम इतने सारे? द होल आइडिया वाज दैट द नेटिव विल बी डिसऑनेस्ट टिल यू कंपेल हिम टू बी ऑनेस्ट. Whereas we would much rather have a society, वो Maslow hierarchy को आप देखें, that I would much rather have a society where we are all honest till we are compelled to be dishonest. You know, as इन्हीं colonial देशों में, मैंने तो अफ्रीका में, अमन आपको मालूम है, 40 से ज्यादा देशों में गया. I've served in so many countries, traveled to over 100. जब 19वीं and early 20th century में, late 19th, early 20th, ये पैशन बन गया ना, आजादी आजादी आजादी, स्वाधीनता. तो हमारे अपने देश में क्या था यार, कि टैक्स मत दो. गांधी जी ने बोला, वो क्या था, बॉयकॉट एवरीथिंग ब्रिटिश, स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, ये वो, सॉल्ट यात्रा, he picked up salt. Great, it was great symbol of protest, but it also became model behavior unfortunately in many countries. हम टैक्स नहीं देंगे. अब आजाद हो गए तो क्या हुआ, उस समय नहीं दिया था सरकार को, अब भी नहीं देंगे. We have seen this. I'm seeing this in so many countries. Now, let me ask you a question. 1990s में, do you know that the cost of housing in Bombay was the highest in the world? मालूम है ना आपको? क्यों अमन? बॉम्बे में क्या जमीन की कमी है? ये हाईएस्ट इसलिए था, द कॉस्ट of construction. आप इसको घूस दो, उसको घूस दो, ब्राइब दो, लाइसेंस लो, ये करो, वो करो. जब इतना आपको देना पड़ता है ऊपर से, तो वो पैसा कौन, आप किससे रिकवर करोगे? फ्रॉम द होम बायर. जमीन की कोई कमी नहीं थी. Then this rera-pera business came in, and now you see how the prices crashed. Think about it. The prices crashed not because of black money or white money. वो जो घूस खिलाते थे आपको, उसके साथ वो सरकार की एजेंसीज को, तो उसको रिकवर तो करना. And the moment we came into this Regulation Act and the government said इसकी कीमत इससे ज्यादा नहीं हो सकती, सब ठंडा हो गया. So according to the World Bank, please, these are not my, अमन आप तो, you know, I admire you that you were a senior World Bank official, और आप लौट के आए देश में, you came back to work for India's development. You know, we need more sons and daughters like you. Look, the World Bank says कि जिन देशों में ट्रस्ट ज्यादा है, तिगनी इनकम होती है उनकी. They have average income 3 times that of country जहां भरोसा कम होता है, और infant mortality rate 3 times lower, and literacy 25% ज्यादा. देखो, नो कंट्री, किसी भी देश में आप भ्रष्टाचार, लैक ऑफ ट्रस्ट को हटा नहीं सकते, बट करप्शन, ये जो उभरते हुए देश हैं, इमर्जिंग मार्केट इकोनॉमीज, मच हायर देन इन डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज. भारत में, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, सन्स एंड डॉटर्स ऑफ इंडिया हु आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग, व्हाई डज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर कीप सेइंग वी हैव टू एलिमिनेट करप्शन फ्रॉम इंडिया? बिकॉज़ ही अंडरस्टैंड्स द डैमेज इट डज टू द फैब्रिक ऑफ आवर सोसाइटी. मैं आपको एक मिसाल देता हूं. जब मैं छोटा था, फ्रॉम माय मदर, फ्रॉम माय ग्रैंडमदर, फ्रॉम फ्रेंड्स, अरे वो तो बहुत बड़े लोग हैं. अच्छा दादी, बड़े लोग का क्या मतलब? आसमान में रहते हैं? नहीं नहीं, बहुत पैसा. So the definition of बड़े लोग was not their विचार, but the amount of money that they had stashed away in their homes. उससे कोई बड़ा नहीं होता. In the United States, I've never heard anybody say Rockefeller तो बहुत बड़ा आदमी. हाँ है, वो अमेरिकन है. So what? How does it make a difference? Just because he has a lot of money makes him a big man. Look, we all began as hunter-gatherers, right? This you agree. हम लोग जंगलों में घूमा करते थे. When we became what we are today, Homo erectus, सीधे खड़े होते ना 2 पैरों पे. So पहले तो 4 पे चलते थे. So when we became Homo erectus, we started as hunter-gatherers. हम जाते थे, जानवर कोई देखा जंगल में, उसको मार के खा लिया. यहाँ फल लटक रहा है पेड़ से, उसको खा लिया, low-hanging fruit. यहाँ पे roots को dig करते थे. But when we began to live, तो जब हम किसी दूसरे के मिलते थे, पहला इंस्टिंक्ट ये था कि लड़ूं या भागूं. अभी तक आपने जानवरों को देखा. प्रोफेसर अमन, ऑब्जर्व 2 dogs on the street. जब एक दूसरे को, मैं एक बड़ा एक छोटा, लेकिन पहले दोनों करेंगे. The instinct is to fight or flight. There's no trust. Animals still have this. So it was the same with us. But then when we became sedentary, एक जगह रहने लगे, agriculture आ गया, animal को domesticate किया, we started living in communities, trust became essential. But then you have to have that trust when you're living together. नहीं तो मुझे क्या भरोसा कोई पड़ोसी आके मेरी पत्नी को ना उठा के ले जाए तो अच्छी बात है. But I mean this as a joke. But the question was that, you know, we have to learn to trust. Look, at heart, we are still very tribal. इसीलिए जो हमारे जैसे लोग हैं, we tend to trust them more. हमारी families में कितना trust होता है. We have similarities. Don't mean just your looks. It could mean a strong work ethic. You know, trust is not an issue क्योंकि लोग बुरे हैं, but लोग self-centered, अपने बारे में सोचते हैं. Leadership, integrity, very, very important. ये मैंने कई देशों में देखा. In the 3 countries where I'm privileged to serve, South Sudan, Guinea-Bissau, and the Kingdom of Lesotho as special advisor to their prime ministers, I am seeing this. The audio does not match the video. जो बड़े-बड़े लोग हैं वहां पर, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा because it would be violating my oath of confidentiality. बड़े-बड़े लोग, so called बड़े-बड़े लोग में देखे, भाषण देंगे, ये करना है, वो करना है, ये तो उनका वीडियो हो, ये तो उनका ऑडियो हो गया. पर जो वीडियो है, what they actually do, there is no match between. And then we get confused कि कौन सा मैसेज बिलीव करें, जो वो कह रहा है कि जो वो कर रहा है. So उसका नतीजा क्या है? भरोसा खत्म हो जाता है. All right? Interpersonal trust. Look, we are all moral hypocrites. मैं तो हूं. हम लोग सबसे ज्यादा दूसरे की, वो कहते हैं ना, दूसरा जब चोर पकड़ा जाता है या कोई पकड़ा जाता है, सब उसको आंख दिखाते हैं, अरे ये तो चोर है. और एक पंजाबी का गाना मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगता है, एवें दुनिया देवे दुहाई झूठा पांदी शोर, अपने दिल नू पुछ के वेखो कौन नहीं आ चोर. अपने दिल से पूछो कि किसके दिल में चोरी नहीं छुपी. So we condemn others, but then we take a very light view of our own transgressions. और एक तो मैंने स्टडी देखी थी अमेरिका में, पीपल कहते हैं कि देखो इसका कितना सेल्फिश बिहेवियर है. जब वो खुद करते हैं, भाई मेरा तो ठीक है, Same thing, same kind of behavior, you know. So it is very interesting to see all this. We are okay cheating just as long as it is a little bit. This is not just in India, this is everywhere. When it's not noticeable. And then if we get trapped, we have perfectly logical excuses. We have perfectly logical reasons. As long as we cheat only a little bit, हमें लगता है कि हमें इसको फायदा हो सकता है, but we are still wonderful human beings. हमने वो मलाई वाला जितना स्कैम नहीं किया, मलाई वाला है ना उसका नाम जो लंदन में अपील हार के आने वाला, या हमने हीरा मोती जितना स्कैम नहीं किया, हमने तो छोटा सा किया. आपने नहीं सुना ये कभी, मैंने तो छोटा सा झूठ बोला. I call this the fudge factor theory. You know, we cheat up to levels that allows us to retain कि हम अपने self image रखें कि हम तो बड़े अच्छे हैं. छोटा सा झूठ बोलते. Let me give you an example, Professor Aman. This has happened in your life, mine, and all the participants here. Somebody once, the lady working in my home once came. We live in an apartment building, and said, "साहब, मेरे एक और घर में जाना था. अगर वो phone करेंगे, उनको मत बताना कि मैं यहाँ हूँ." Haven't you heard this so often, Aman? उनको मत कहना कि मैं यहाँ हूँ. So I just looked straight in the eyes and I said, "Amma, आपने मेरे ईमान की कीमत क्या लगाई है? You're asking me to tell an untruth for you? What is your assessment of my character? How much value do you place on my integrity?" And she lowered her eyes and said, "You know, माफ कर दीजिए मुझे." So Harvard psychologist Amy Cuddy, जिन्हें मैं जानता हूँ, वो कहती जब मैं मिलता हूँ, पहली बार मैं अमन से मिला, या his distinguished father who was my classmate at Delhi school. The first time I met Professor J.D. Agarwal, she says that you ask a question, can I trust this person? भाई आप सबके best friends हैं कि नहीं? Best friends क्यों बनाते हो? वो बड़े खूबसूरत हैं, बहुत पैसा है, बड़े अच्छे कपड़े पहनते हैं. Best friends because you feel you can trust that person. So trustworthiness is a basic human instinct. It means कि दूसरा व्यक्ति जो है मेरे साथ ईमानदारी से काम करेगा और मेरे को exploit नहीं करेगा. You know, 80 to 90%. Professor Aman, tell me, am I correct? First impressions are based on this trait. You subconscious, you ask if you can trust that person. So important. This is Amy Cuddy. And I've always said that first impressions are so important because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So we want to be seen as trustworthy. We want to be seen as reliable people, not crooked people. कभी आपने कानून तोड़ा है कि कोई नहीं देख रहा? लाल बत्ती पे मैं कई बार, because I was on the advisory committee of the police, लाल बत्ती में कई बार, whenever I had the time, I would go and sit down. तो मैं देखता था मोटरसाइकिल पे कोई आ रहा, आप भी ऑब्जर्व करिएगा, पहले लेफ्ट को देखेगा, राइट को देखेगा, पुलिस वाला नहीं है, लाल बत्ती को जंप कर देगा. So why should my behavior depend on who's looking at me? In Western societies, I find my 3-year-old granddaughter, when she was 3, she's now 6, I used to walk her to school in New York. What a pleasure. 7 o'clock in the morning, not a car coming on the road. Her school was very close by. And she said, "Nana, red light, please stop." Darling, there's nobody and no car coming. "Nana, red light, stop." Now, what does that mean? So they've been trained. See, trust is, as we'll see, is not intrinsic to you. It's extrinsic. It is acquired. And I would never trust a person who's honest only because thanedar usko dekh raha hai. What is a trust buster? Doing something, promising something with no intention of redeeming your pledge. Rushing to say no. Professor Aman, do I have another 2 or 3 minutes?
Yes, please, we have time. No
Okay.
problem.
Here I give you a little story. This is about 4 or 5 years ago. Diwali time pe, one of my close friends called me and said, "Look, I have to travel from Delhi to Chandigarh on the Shatabdi. And on this particular day, the day before Shatabdi, my number on the waiting list is 197. Can you help?" I said, "Normally I would not, but your mother is ill and whatever, very significant. So I'll get it done. We have a special quota." So I rang up whoever I had to. I said, "Bhai, kar dijiye." So he says, "Saab, wo train chalne se 4 ghante pehle wo banta hai chart. Aap usme dekh lijiye, ye kaam ho jayega." Sure enough, my secretary called me and said, "Sir, wo ho gaya unka kaam." So I called this friend of mine, and I would normally not do it, but I did it because his mother was unwell, whatever the reason, and Diwali, etc. So I said, "Aapka ho gaya ji?" He said, "Nahi hua ji." "Oh, nahi hua." Then I called my office. He called the railway ministry. He called this fellow, that fellow, that fellow. And then the station master was the fellow where the buck stops. He says, "Saab, mere samne list padi hai. Inka coach A7 hai, seat 22. So I called my friend back. I said, "How did you tell me nahi hua?" "Ji, maine dekha nahi tha." Now you understand what I'm saying, Aman? That by simply saying no without knowing the consequence, then I told this guy that we'll retain our friendship, but never, 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 ever ask me to do anything for you. Therefore, in some high trust societies, by the way, this is another thing that I'm going to highlight in my thesis whenever it's published, behavioral indicator. How easily, Professor Aman, you have traveled to all the developed countries in the world. How easily they say thank you? How easily they say sorry? Am I correct?
Correct.
Saying thank you to acknowledge a favor doesn't diminish you. Saying sorry basically means I made a mistake and I'm willing to improve. The first time I heard the expression, Aji, usko thank you kyun keh rahe ho? Unka obligation kyun lena hai? What do you mean obligation? Mere paise to nahi wo le raha. He's not demanding money from me. What is the meaning of obligation nahi lena? I just don't understand this kind of logic that some people have. All right. So may I just say that the new normal that is going to come after this Chinese virus, people have over the past decade, trust in government was decreasing because they felt it was not delivering. The new normal will be a modern public health system जो सबके लिए काम करता है, अमीर के लिए नहीं. अरे आपका प्रधानमंत्री यही तो बोलता है. Reduce inequality. किस लिए गरीबों पे focus कर रहे हैं? Climate change को tackle करो and put the interests of workers and communities before profit. ये पता है क्या हुआ था 2008 में फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस हुआ था. प्रोफेसर रमन, आप भी अमेरिका में थे, मैं भी अमेरिका में था, और कितना बोला गया कि जूते मारेंगे बड़े बड़े बैंक वालों को, we'll build a new system. कुछ हुआ? ठेंगा. कुछ नहीं हुआ. We came back to where we were. That is why the level of trust ebbed. Now we have a magnificent opportunity to build this trust. So what are the trust takeaways? Richer nations जो हैं उनमें greater level of interpersonal and societal trust. Societies जो Maslow hierarchy की पहली 3 needs meet कर लेती हैं, रोटी कपड़ा मकान, sense of belonging, self-esteem, much greater trust उनमें होता है. Trust is extrinsic. You are not born with it. You have to learn it. It has to be taught to you. Non-hierarchical societies have much greater trust. और जहाँ equal opportunity for growth होती है ना, कि मेरा बाप कौन है, it doesn't matter who you know, it's what you know. Those societies have much greater trust in the system. I thank you, Professor Raman, for this opportunity, and all those who were sleeping can now wake up. If you have any questions, Professor Raman will answer them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm very happy to welcome people to kindly ask their questions. In fact, I do have one which I keep discussing about with, and I have informally did ask Professor Vohra once long back when he came to the institute almost about 6-7 months back when he came, and that is and the other day also spoke in a presentation about trust, and I said when a trust gets broken, she was of the opinion that the trust can be rebuilt. So, and then I did question her that, is it trust that gets rebuilt or is it confidence that gets rebuilt? Because I gave her the example of the rope, the jute rope, when it breaks, you can tie a knot, or a glass which breaks, you can always fix it and make it again. But then, is it...
दरार रहती है.
Yeah.
The crack will remain. You know, how do I assess somebody, Professor Raman? It's on the basis, 75% I would say is ethics and 25% is performance.
Correct. Correct.
This is my assessment. If the man is ethical, I trust him.
Correct.
And even if the fellow doesn't perform as well as Albert Einstein or Isaac Newton or whoever, I'll trust the guy because the ethics is very strong.
True.
Not that there's no chori in the developed country. तो बहुत होते हैं, बदमाश scams कितने होते हैं वहाँ पर. Volkswagen का scam Germany में आप सबको मालूम है. वो हर जगह चलता है. Where there's human greed, there will be scams. But the trust factor is very high. You can reach the top.
Correct. So how to go about, one more question before I open to other people who are waiting. How does one actually differentiate between confidence and trust?
You know, trust, confidence is based on a person's performance.
Yes.
When you hire a person, you say that you see his performance, you say, I'm confident that he will deliver. Trust is based more on ethics. What are his ethical values? That is the distinction between the two, based on my research.
Perfect.
But I will not be able to complete this, my research. I know, Professor, I'm getting old. I'm getting on in years. Age spares nobody. So, अगर मैं खत्म किए बिना परलोक से धार जाऊं, you please finish it. मैं notes आपको ले जाऊं.
I'm going to be your subordinate, assisting you in this work.
You're my kid, I say. Your dad and I were in the same class. Please, Aman.
You're like my poor father. I've always said, whether verbally or even in writing, many places, that you are like my godfather. You are a major mentor for me. And so whenever you, jab aap hukum kare, as they say, I will be available to start, assisting as a research assistant.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Please work on trust, because it's something very critical and important.
Thank you.
I see people here. I saw Madan Mohanji, Professor Madan Mohan is here. I've known him for good 20 years, also a close associate of my father with Kurukshetra University. Sir, I'll ask you to kindly ask a question, and then I'll go to Professor Rekha Jagannathan and then others.
And this is a learning, questions is a learning experience for me also.
Yes. Yes. Welcome, Professor.
Are you able to hear me, Deepak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me create a trust with you first, because we have two common friends. Aman was telling to you, his father is a close friend of mine, Professor J.D. Agarwal. We belong to a same place, Raipurani.
Oh, and we belong to the same school, Delhi school.
Anyway, second one is an ambassador friend, Satkandar Tayal.
Of course, one of the best we have in our service.
I was with him there in Korea at Seoul, and where I was able to interact with him and became very close to him.
Sir, if you know these two outstanding sons of India, I have 100% trust in you.
So nice of you. But I have observed your comments before starting your presentation. You were little sarcastic about China. I have also been very sarcastic about China when I reached Seoul and made very strong comments against China. And I got a letter from an American friend that stop making comments against China, they will kill you. Then I came out with the abbreviation of China. As a diplomatic person like you, using it, come home, I need affection.
Oh, okay, China.
This I practiced on my colleagues there in Hankook Institute of Foreign Studies, Seoul, and that worked very well. They became very friendly. So now the question to you is, the coefficient of distrust in central government and state government is widening. Non-BJP governments are not accepting certain things. And even in case of certain activities like FDI, you know very well, there are MOUs, but the actual FDI is very meager amount. And I consider it is only because of coefficient of distrust. Presently also, Modi ji is also saying, many scholars are saying that there are opportunities in COVID when the companies which are shifting from China, they are going to come to India. And for that, we have to create a trust. We have to be honest in strengthening our own fundamentals, which are not there at the moment.
Sir, I cannot disagree with you at all. I mean, you are such a, you're just so experienced. The thing that we are attempting to do, this government, so please, I do not hold a brief. Yes, I work for them, but may I just tell you, sir, that what we are creating, and we are doing it brilliantly, is China Plus. Whatever these companies had got in China, we'll give them more than that. See, when PM reaches out to the state ministers and says, you guys go out to attract foreign investment, there becomes a certain element of competition. Now, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, you've seen what they've done with the labor laws. That used to be a major hurdle. It's gone. Then they've said, Zameen chahiye, le lo, ye chahiye, le lo, le lo, le lo. Of course, the companies will not quit China overnight. It's going to take a while to dismantle a factory and assemble it somewhere else. But let me tell you this, sir. On everything I've seen and heard, and I have access to information that is not in the public domain, even in China, the level of trust in their government is decreasing dramatically. वो डर के कहते हैं कि हमारा 100% है. China में election होती है ना, जैसे एक ज़माने में अफ्रीका में होती थी. So I've known some of these leaders, sir. I've served in Africa for 40 years. तो भाई कितने वोट से जीतते हो? Oh, I got 104% of the vote. और चाचा 104% of the vote कहाँ से आ गया तो आ गया. And they didn't think anything wrong with that, But sir, take my word for it. The latest India Abroad News Service, INS survey said 93.5% of people. Forget the government, that's the political thing, right? Whether BJP and Congress or Trinamool, whatever. 93.5% have trust in what the central government is doing. फिर हमने पढ़ा था about these migrants. एक ने बोला 1 million. एक फिर Indian journalists writing for BBC or something, hundreds of millions of migrants. और मेरी तो यार 1300 million की population है, तो अगर उसमें से 800 million migrants है, are you mad? किसी दुकान में जाके psychiatrist के पास जाओ. But जो मन में आया लिख दिया. You know, the reality, sir, today is your police. Sir, don't you believe that trust in the government hasn't your trust gone up in the government, in the police, in your doctors? Tell me honestly, sir. Has it?
In fact, I'm little doubtful on certain things. Let me.
Has your trust in government increased, sir, the way they've handled it in the police?
In fact, I'm not very sure to speak about it, but let me honestly tell you that the presentation which Prime Minister made 2 days back, he was talking of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, and it has been for self-sufficiency or self-reliance, because
self-reliability.
You know, because Swadeshi mission is talking of self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is an objective which is pursued in a closed economy. As a student of economics, I believe that this vocal for local is not going to work. Ultimately, if we want to be in the global market, we are member of World Trade Organization, we are member of UNO, we cannot speak like this. So okay, what we have to see is, we have to go in for self-reliance as an objective.
Let me interrupt you, sir. The United Nations is a संस्था, उसकी expiry date बहुत साल पहले खत्म हो गई है. WTO ditto, WHO ditto. The new normal today across the world. Sir, Hungary का एक प्रधानमंत्री है, मेरा दोस्त है, हम इकट्ठे पढ़े हैं, विक्टर ऑर्बान. वो क्या कहता है? I'm an illiberal democracy and I'm very pleased to be one. ब्राजील वाला क्या करता है, अमेरिका वाला क्या करता है, चीन वाला क्या करता है. सर, जब तक तो मुझे फायदा है ग्लोबलाइजेशन से, मैं ग्लोबलाइज करूंगा. जब मैंने देखा कि मुझे नुकसान हो रहा है जैसे अब हो रहा है, the whole world is suffering, I don't want it. So there'll be a new normal, it will come. PM is not saying सब कुछ देश में बना, self sufficiency, self reliability. हमें जो चाहिए हमें मिल सकता है आपत्ति के समय में. There is a difference. Africa में, sir, you know, food riots have broken out. Food riots. जंग शुरू हो गई है because खाना नहीं है. 2008 में हुई थी जब कीमतें खाने की बहुत बढ़ गई थी. हमारे देश में नहीं हुआ है, सर. क्यों नहीं हुआ? Your granaries have 60 million tons of food grain. अरे जितनी गाली देनी है, आलोचना देनी है, करिए. But the fact is that our scientists, our doctors, our engineers, our leadership has made sure that no one, not one person, has died of hunger because of the movement of the migrants or because of the corona Chinese virus crisis. And sir, I don't miss words. The Chinese have lied through their teeth. Whether they wish to kill me or not, I'm a former, I have a soldier's blood, so I'm not, I don't care. भिड़ना है तो भिड़ ले, देख लेंगे दम तुझ में कितना है. मैं तो भारत माँ का बेटा हूँ सर, डरता नहीं हूँ, और डरता हूँ तो डर से डरता हूँ, डर से आगे बढ़ता हूँ, डर के आगे जीत है सर. Thank you very much.
Great to hear you. It's great to hear you. In fact, one of my sister, Rekha Jagannathan, has motivated me to listen you, and she has sent me 3 WhatsApp messages that you share many things in common. Although you don't keep hair, he keeps hair. But let me share with you. I was also having beautiful hairs, and I willfully removed it because it has improved my memory. Okay. It has improved my sleep. It has improved my ego.
All right.
I'm presently staying in Kurukshetra and very well trying to create trust for myself, trust for the nation, as well as trying to promote Gita. Probably, you know, people talk about Kurukshetra, known for Mahabharata, but I talk of Kurukshetra as a place to be the first ever university. Because, yeah, sir, sure. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Professor Goel. We'll go to Professor Rekha Jagannathan, then we'll go to Mr. Ranjit Kapoor and Pooja Kushwala after that.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, please, Mr. Rekha Jagannathan.
Sorry that this became a conversation between Professor Goel and me. Sorry about that. Yeah. But I was listening to him after such a long time, and since we both know Professor J.D. Agarwal, it was very special to me.
Yes. Rekha Jagannathan, please. Yes, she's a professor and a former member of the Karnataka
Yes,
plan.
he knows me.
Madam.
It was a matter of um, joy to hear you, like last time. Every sentence I liked actually. And then there I liked one thing the very best, because my PhD guide was an anti-corruption crusader. I liked what you said. Every 1 rupee earned dishonestly will lead to 8 rupees lost to the society. I will remember this forever. And then I liked it very much. But then in the society, in the Indian community, we don't find that people are, and leaders and people are conscious about this aspect, and the looting goes on. And corruption is the greatest bane, and they don't think it affects economically. But then you have estimated it as 1:8, which we should study into. It may be even more in different aspects.
You know, I had many years ago, sorry ma'am, I'd seen a film, I don't remember the name, but there is this chap, one of the main actors in the film. He's a very corrupt fellow, and he goes on collecting money from corrupt ways. And then one fine day he has an argument with his son and daughter, and they say, "Dad, why are you doing this?" And he says, "Ye tumhare liye kar raha hu." They turned around and said, "Jao, aapko to jail jaane ki aadat hai. We don't want your tainted money."
Yeah, that's right.
This is a question, ma'am. It's on the question of trust and accountability. I just want to tell you today, the greatest trust enforcer should be Mr. Google. Because for the next 5,000 years, whatever you do is going to be on Google. So, for example, this Malaiwala fellow who's run away, if he thinks it will be forgotten, it won't. It will remain there for 500 years, 5,000 years. I just wonder, or this Hiramoti fellow who has small kids, when the kids come of age or want to go to a college or whatever, what will they say? Who was your dad? The man who cheated, allegedly cheated so much. How do you live with that, ma'am? I don't know.
Yeah.
It becomes,
this is a very voluminous subject.
We don't think about that. You know, in high trust societies, I mean, the United States, you think there's no corruption? There's corruption at a very high level. But the fact is that they have to live, you have to live with the consequences. No? That is our dharma in India. And what is in the Bhagavad Gita also, do your dharma, do the right action. Forget about what will come later, but do the right action. We are privileged, we are blessed to be born in a country, we share a country with the author of the Mahabharata. Sorry, I get carried away when I talk.
Yeah, I know. This is a subject, very intense subject. There is corruption economics in New Zealand, maybe there in several other countries as well. I stayed there, so I know. You also, you have extensive exposure, because of which every sentence is a matter of joy. Now, I like the flow of your lecture. You began with trust among nations, then came down to trust among people, and then to interpersonal trust. Beautifully framed lecture. But there I have another comment to make. You seem to have believed that people are the judges and they are very incorruptible, where I disagree again. In a corrupt society, there will be a corrupt leader. Going by that, I think that Indians have become very corrupt over the centuries or whatever. So in such a society, how can leaders be incorruptible? And if you ask me, has the trust gone up or gone down? I'm confused really. Because we think some leaders now are very trustworthy, but behind the scene we hear several things happening. And then those things happening are true, they are not false. And this kind of things lead to distrust again. And then this is among the leaders and the people.
Ma'am, I couldn't agree with you more. In no country in the world have I come across a leader who says we should be corrupt. I've never heard a prime minister or a president or a governor say, we must be corrupt. They all say we should be ethical, this, that. In private lives, they can do something else. That's what I said. The audio doesn't match the video. What they say and what they do are two totally different. But ma'am, don't be disheartened. Because you remember there used to be a chap, I wish he's born every day, and he is. His name was Mohandas Karamchand. And somebody asked him, Bapu, how do I change the world? His answer was, begin with yourself.
By changing myself.
Begin with yourself. I've taken that to heart. It's embedded. If I change, the people around me will change. And if they change, in 7 concentric circles, we would have reached 7 billion people. We would have covered the whole country. I make it 2, 2 goes to 4, 4, whatever, and then we would have changed the entire. So let's begin with that. Let's be happier people. people who are more trusting, more trustworthy are happier.
Yeah, I think for our own happiness, we should trust others. That's very logical, actually. Thank you very much. There are many more questions like that. Thank you very much for the very good lecture.
Thank you, Professor Martin. I will now go to Mr. Ranjit Kapoor. So he's an industrialist. He's been running an entrepreneurship for last based out of Noida. He's a metal business, and he's been an entrepreneur, lives in Noida. He's been my neighbor in Eldeco. And I have been a big fan of his because the way he handles things and his methodological.
Look at the wonderful people we have in India.
Please go ahead, Mr. Ranjit Kapoor. Although he's not optimistic about government of India, but because he has seen a lot of troubles and a lot of legal battles as part of his business. But
we all do that.
He is a positive man. Please go ahead.
You know, basically the understanding makes a lot of difference, you know. So thank you very much, Professor Vohra. Always pleasure listening to you. And let me tell you, I made it a point to today join because it's very interesting subject. Okay, trust. And in business, this plays a key role in doing the business. And unfortunately, you know, right from the day I started and today, there is a decline in the trust also. There was a time when, you know, we used to do verbal transactions worth crores of rupees. And today, the courts are thriving because even written document people are refusing to accept. So that is where the trust has gone. Okay. Now, what he says, you know, to build right kind of citizen, you know, grooming as well as schooling is very important in inculcating the trust factor. Okay. And I feel, you know, in schools, we used to have the programs of NCC, Scouts and other things, which are not seen. I mean, that gives a national feeling, basically.
So you said grooming and schooling. You use the two words, grooming and schooling.
Yes.
I'm making
grooming at home, and say grooming at schooling.
So
okay.
I'm going to,
both are very important.
I'm making a note. I'd like to use it in my research, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And secondly, you know, what happens is trust, if you see, it's again, I break it into under four heads, like person to person, people to government, business to institutions, and business to judiciary. So, you know, judiciary's role is very important in creating trust and eliminating corruption. That is where our country is suffering right now. Being in business, I know, you know, it's very easy to criticize certain business people. But, you know, we have to also look at largely what do they face in life. At every step, you know, a business person is asked, okay, if you have to get this work done, this is the cost of the work which has to be done. Okay. Now, where from he will bring out that money? A businessman, he has to do the business also. Okay. Where from he will bring that money out? And that comes from the business only. And when it comes out of the business and when it goes to the knowledge of people, it is seen as siphoning of funds, but actually it is not siphoning of funds. It is cost of business which you are paying. Okay. So now when you go to courts, why corruption is thriving? Because when you go to courts, 50% battle we lose there because we are business people. The perception is such, okay, the perception is such that they don't believe. And believe me, I have personal experience. I will give you two examples.
No, I understand. We've had this perception that businessmen are corrupt. That I have no question about it. Yes. We all understand, but that is now changing.
Okay. No, I'm giving you very, not very, you know, long ago, say a couple of years back only, even in the highest court of India, my case, my file was thrown by the judge and open court statement was made that all entrepreneurs in the country are thieves. Okay.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay. If this, and I wrote to the then Chief Justice of India that if the perception is such, how will the justice come? And if the justice is not given, then the businessman has to flow with the corruption, flow with the what is happening around. So the judiciary has to tackle. That is very, very important. And believe me, if you go to any department, they say, okay, you pay this much. Otherwise, they give you a list that if you start from lower court to Supreme Court, this is going to be your cost. So if we are asking X price, then it is much cheaper than going to the court where the price is exponential.
So they've got the economics worked out.
They have got the economics. Believe me, they give the hand over the chit. Okay. So
sir, I read your anguish, sir. I read your pain. Sir, may I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You know, I've heard it said very often on the transparency index, we have improved, but we are still a corrupt society. We hang our heads in shame. Do you trust the Indian military?
Yes, I trust the Indian military. There's no doubt that they...
Stop, sir. Do they come from the moon or are they Indians?
No, they are Indians.
So therefore, what makes them so much more honest and trustworthy than people who are not non-military? What is it, sir?
The environment they are working in.
नहीं सर, वो फौज में आता है 19-20 साल में. और अगर उससे पहले he had learned nothing but भ्रष्टाचार, how does he change?
Well, that gets changed also sometimes. Not that the question.
So therefore, your upbringing, your values can change.
Yes.
Well, let's do it then. What we are seeing in the army, you know, they are coming out with a proposal that even young non-military people can have a 3-year tour of duty. I've heard this said.
Yeah, for that I will say they should go back a little. They should start NCC and Scouts in schools so that, you know, their mental development takes place that way.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it, and it will be conveyed to where it should go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind.
I think I will request Professor Raman to share your presentation if possible. You know,
I'll send it to him, sir. I'll send it. I'll make some changes and send it to him.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Professor. Any more questions? Aman? Are you there, Aman?
I'm very much there.
Okay.
There was the young lady, Dr. Pooja Kashiwal, who wanted to ask a question and she was waiting just a second. Let me just see if she's still around. Dr. Pooja Kashiwal, if you can kindly ask a question. I am unmuted you and
go ahead, Dr. Pooja.
I don't want maybe number 5 or something maybe there.
Oh, don't worry about it. If she's not there, it doesn't matter.
In fact, there was one critical issue which, where the government actually is losing control, and the EU was fighting and speaking.
Aman, your voice is cracking.
Hello, are you able to hear? Are you able to hear, sir?
It's a bandwidth issue. Chinese 5G technology has messed you up.
Okay, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you now, but your voice is cracking.
Okay, so what I was saying was that we have been facing this problem also, and it's a very critical issue because not only me, a lot of people across the Indian country is facing. You know, when it comes to electricity, you know, government is electricity. And we have been saving electricity, consuming less air conditioning. The whole summer last time we did not run air conditioning to save electricity. And the electricity people billed us and made a penalty because we did not consume the amount of electricity which was allocated and made it much more. So if my bill would have come to about 45,000-50,000 rupees, if I consumed all the electricity, now since I did not consume all the electricity and I consumed only 50% of it, my bill came to about 65,000.
So you are being penalized for economizing.
Economizing, trying to save.
This
is amazing. I spoke to a person who has been part of a regulatory framework of electricity framework in the country. And he had been known to us, and not to name him. And then he said, this has become a state of affairs, the whole country with electricity, that they have this minimum charges which is made mandatory. So one side, the government says save electricity. When a person tries to save electricity, he's being penalized to save electricity. My partner institution next door to me has received a bill of 3.5 lakhs for no usage of electricity in these 2 months.
Electrocute the discom. Yeah, I mean, this is
If I can almost.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Yamini, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, kaisi ho, Yamini?
Good. Thank you. I just wanted to ask, do you think trust is affected by cultural factors as well? Because if you look at many societies like the developing country like ours, you know, we have a long culture, we have a long history. Whereas new economies like US, they are a newer culturally oriented economy, a younger economy than ours. And, you know, when we talk about in terms of, I won't say diplomacy, but the way we approach a particular situation is different from the way they would approach it. And sometimes coming out more honestly may be considered as rude or not appropriate. Do you think that also has an effect on trust?
I couldn't agree with you more. Older societies, China, India, Greece, Italy, etc., trust is not easily given. Younger societies, trust is assumed. The default response is trust. I trust you till you compel me to distrust you. So it's the younger societies that are built. I mean, for example, Singapore. That's one example. South Korea. Japan is an ancient civilization, but there's a very high level of trust because they rebuilt from scratch. Whereas we, old continuous civilization, Greeks, it's very clear. There's no trust at all. You know that. The Italians. And when the government imposed a lockdown and instead of stay in your homes, they started having wild parties in their buildings. So it's a question of certain values that you develop over a time. Older civilizations, no. Therefore, one of the things I have a chapter in this, how older civilizations can become young.
Thank you.
That's what I'm trying to look at. But beta, you should complete my thesis. I won't be able to do it. I don't know if I'll have the time. I'm getting on.
We have one question from Professor Kishore Kulkarni, if you can take that. If your time
yes,
permits.
Professor.
Thank you, Professor Amanji and Deepakji, for holding such a wonderful talk on trust. Basically, these values of trust is a basic building blocks for human life.
No question.
Yeah, but nowadays, because of this COVID-19, what is happening is that, see, my neighbor who is staying here for last 14 days, we know both each other, but even though when we on evening walk, when you see each other, he keep mask on his face. And I also used to keep mask on my face. So we know that he has not gone anywhere. So that means this is a trust talk. This because of this situation has created mistrust among Indians. So after this COVID-19, instead of trust, mistrust, distrust, will it increase again in the society, sir?
So it's a very good question you've asked. There's going to be a new normal that everybody is saying.
Yeah.
I believe that trust will increase in countries where they've been able to deal with the Chinese virus more effectively, and our record in that is one of the best in the world. I believe the element of trust between the people we have democratically mandated to rule us and we the people, that level of trust will increase. So forget about your private TV channels. Wo to, they are incorrigible. Wo to dukhi atma hai. But the reality is that I'm seeing today with the police, sir. I mean, I'm sure you have the same experience. When he sees you, you're going somewhere, he stops you, he says, "Kahan main sabji lene, haan jaiye sir." There is a certain level of trust, and I heard a police officer saying, which I thought was very touching. He said, "Aap ghar mein rahiye, hum bahar hai." And what a beautiful thing to say. And honestly, sir, मैंने अपनी जिंदगी में फरिश्ते नहीं देखे थे, लेकिन जब मैं अस्पताल में जाता हूँ अब इंस्पेक्शन के लिए, मैं फरिश्ते देखता हूँ, उन्होंने सफेद कोट पहने हुए हैं।
क्या बात है सर, क्या बात।
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Professor Kulkarni. Professor Vohra, we have Dr. Pooja Kashiwaha back on the screen. If we can allow her to ask a question.
Of course, go right ahead, ma'am.
Question then by Professor Ashok Lal. Yeah, please introduce yourself, Ms. Pooja Kashiwal. Please, and if I pronounce your name wrongly, please.
Hello,
go ahead, ma'am.
I'm not doctor. I am research scholar from the Department of English, Lucknow University.
No, then kindly.
So my question is very simple.
Sorry.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
My question is very simple, sir. Sir, it is audible?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's very simple, but not difficult, but it is difficult for me. If anyone find again and again distrust, I mean to say, if any person's trust is broken again in every area like business, academic, family and relation and in everywhere, then how the person start to trust? Because that person thinks that everywhere corruption and cheating. So how can we start believing again?
Let me analyze what you've said. That person thinks everywhere there is corruption. No, everywhere there's not corruption.
Yes,
that's the first issue, right? You know, some people have bad experiences, but you don't give up your hope in humanity because of that. We all go through a difficult time, but you have the inner strength, you have the confidence, you have trust in yourself that you will be able to overcome this. And once you are persistent, I can do nothing better than quote what Mahatma Gandhi said. When you have you're taking a particular action or you want to do something that is different from the others, right? He had said something very interesting. First, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you. Then they fight you. Then you win.
Thank you so much, sir.
This is the Mahatma who said this. I mean, today in the COVID crisis, the stories we hear, the reality I see when I go out, the Mahatma is born every day in this country. There are so many good people, many more good people than bad people. So don't lose trust. Keep the faith. Right?
Thank you, sir.
May God be with you.
Thank you, sir.
It is because of good people like Professor Vohra and some of them here on the program also in the participant that the world is running, and that's where the good fishes still keep the bad fishes out of the water, in my opinion. Last question, sir, by Professor.
Go ahead.
Okay. Dr. Vohra, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. I will ask a very simple question, very practical question. I run a company. I'm a CEO of a company. I got an operation in the US as well as in India.
Wow.
Now, that I see that people here, in general, in India, in our employees, my personal belief is that I have to increase the trust factor because that will help me for my personal reasons. If I increase the trust, then my productivity will go up. Then I don't have checks and balances, I can trust them to get it done. But I see that most of the people, they don't believe in trust. They think that I don't trust anybody. Some of the people, they say that we don't trust anybody, we don't trust the government and everything else. There's one gentleman who talked about it, business. I found myself once in a business. I had a consultant, one of the consultant did the income tax. Tax guy asked him for 10,000 rupees, something like that. He refused to pay that because he's one of the 5 top consultants, like Ernst Young, those guys. And he didn't pay the money. So on some small technicality, he filed a claim. The result is that I fight it out, and I have to spend 1 crore rupees over the next 5 years to get the clearance. So anyhow, but I am positive. I'm optimistic. But my question to you is that what you can advise me? How can I tell our people trust the system, trust the society, and trust everybody else rather than they're always negative?
So this has to come from within you. I can see that you're leading by example. You have taken it upon yourself to fight rather than run. It's your instinct to fight is stronger than your instinct for flight.
Yeah.
These are the two basic. Jhagda bhid jaun uske saath ya bhag jaun. And you have decided bhid jaun. Do it, sir. Because you are one of those, from what you've told me, which I can see, sir, you are not one of those that follows history. You're one of those that makes history. Go right ahead. Your example will be quoted in years to come. How does it matter if I don't see the results in my lifetime? Others will. Society will benefit. The nation will be a much better place. I can't say anything other than, my finest hour is when I lie on the field of battle. I'm broken, I'm bruised, I'm bleeding, but I'm victorious. That's my finest moment, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, sir. All the best.
Thank you.
Keep the faith, sir. Keep fighting.
No, I'm fighting. I'm fighting.
May God be with you, sir. May God be with you.
Yeah.
The spirit of India dwells in you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vohra. Thank you for this elaborate discussion. And you can see the kind of interest it has generated. I still had people who were wanting to ask, but I don't see them anymore. So in any case, I'm overshot my time, which I had requested you for. Thank you very much. And we may, if it is okay, we may host this session again sometime.
Absolutely. And I will incorporate some of the suggestions I got today. Because I told you it's a learning experience for me also.
Yes. So we will do that. We'll touch base with you and seek your convenience for future events.
Thank you.
In any case, I'd like to thank everybody who has joined us, taken his time out to be with us. And I would like to brief everybody as a policy which we had decided to, what is going in hand for today and tomorrow. We have a training program at 4 o'clock today on using Excel for finance. And tomorrow in the Essence of Life, I have a young lady who is a Bharatanatyam dancer. In fact, she's a student of mine from 2003-2005 batch of the Institute. And she is currently the eBay Regulatory and Payment Compliance Officer for North America, Canada, South America, Latin America, Australia, and various other countries, apart from various other companies she's been. So we have that. And then tomorrow, we also have another training session on capital budgeting using Excel by Professor Saurabh Agarwal. And then on Sunday, on how to make money on stock market, which will be there as well. So anyone who's interested is most welcome. And then we have on Monday by Nidhu Kumar, who's going to be in the Essence of Life. As I said again, we would request Professor Vohra to come back again, to anyone who wants to join again, because he's going to incorporate. So there will always be some difference. He is always a learner, adapter, and always brings about some change. In all the presentations which I've seen, there's always something new which is there. So you always something to learn, even if you have to hear him again. And as a professor and as a teacher, as a student, I have seen that you can never gain complete information. So there's always a called transmission loss. And so, if you listen to the same thing again and again, many of us do that, we are able to capture different aspects of it. So I will look forward in welcoming all of you and others and your colleagues. You're welcome to invite. These are open events, public events, and please, namaskar. Thank you
very much. Bye-bye, Aman. Thank you.
Vande Mataram.